this and hopefully send this out tomorrow. So in case some of your coaches, athletes wanted to be on this, uh, we can send it out tomorrow, make sure they see it as well. This Fitness Heptathlon is a different event. We are actually the first state implementing this Fitness Heptathlon. This came from a Special Olympics North America committee that I actually sit on. And the main goal of this is to get active more often. We want to get out of the traditional Special Olympics once a week practice and see if we can't, train 3 days, even if there is only one practice. So getting into this just a little bit, I'll give you kind of the background of it. Our goal when creating this Fitness Heptathlon is to quickly develop a program with meaningful training and competition. Our main goal is we didn't want to have any athletes, depending on the level of the athletes, left behind. The great thing about the Fitness Heptathlon is you are competing against all different athletes of all different abilities, and it's always based on improvement. Another huge thing, and if you've been to the coaches conference or you've heard one of my trainings before, we always want to improve the health and wellness of our athletes. I love when I see someone improve a jump shot, but if we can improve their healthy habits, that's almost more important to me as well. I mentioned this again, but we want every ability to have a chance to compete in this. It's hard in some of the sports, to have all abilities play against each other. Totally understand that. But in this Fitness Heptathlon, this is one place where you can have the best improved against everybody else from around the state. It's a really exciting program, and I'll give a little more information on that. We do offer this in both an individual form and then a unified pair. My goal for future seasons is to also offer this by team, but for right now, we are just offering this as an individual or unified pairs. We have a ton of resources that I'm finishing up creating. Once again, I will send it out with the email tomorrow, but we have a coach's resource guide that will go through each of the workouts, tell you how to set it up, tell you how what equipment you need and all that. That will help you guys figure out kind of what this is and how to run it. It's a little different than the way we did it in the summer season. There's some similar exercises, but it's just a little more robust. So I'll make sure that coach's guide goes out tomorrow for you all to see. So the Fitness Heptathlon, getting into the teeth of the Fitness Heptathlon. So there are 7 different exercises that a athlete will pick from. And there's 16 different options, all varying in the 7 different categories. So we have agility, we have balance, cardiovascular endurance. We'll show that a little bit later, but all you need to do is choose one exercise from each of the 7 categories, and you have completed the Fitness Heptathlon. Once again, some of them are by score, some of them are by time, some of them about how fast you can complete. So just making sure when we're picking our sport, we know how we're calculating it. Like I said, it's not the most complicated thing in the world, but if you give one good look at the coach's guide, you should be able to figure this out. So this is where it's a little different than the fitness competition we had at the virtual summer games. In the Fitness Heptathlon, it is necessary for every athlete competing to have a baseline score. That is what is due or required by this Friday, October 16th. I know it is right around the corner, and I know I could have done a better job of getting that information out in more ways, but we need all scores in by this Friday to have a baseline score. Then the thought is that athletes and unified pairs will work on those same 7 exercises and then see how much they improve over this 4-week season. Hopefully they've been training since October 1st. I know it's a shortened season. In future seasons, we're hoping to have 6 to 8 weeks where we get scores 3 times. but for this particular season, we are doing only 2 scores for our athletes. The second set of scores taken at the end of the season will determine the divisioning, but it's not, once again, it's not on how fast you can do it or how many reps you did. It's all based on percentage of improvement. We want our athletes, if they can only do 3 push-ups at the start of the year, that's totally fine. If they can do 20, that's totally fine. We want to see our athletes gain ground or improve as we go along in the season. To look at how we are scoring based on improvement, each exercise you do, so each of the 7 exercises you choose, and you can do any of the ones in this particular category. So you have to choose one from each category, but you can choose any of the options in there. Depending on how much you improve is based on how many number of points you receive for that particular exercise. At the end, we will add up all the scores for your 7 exercises, and that is your score, and that is what you are divisioned on and awarded on. So once again, it's completely different than, somebody that just tries to do, say they do 35 push-ups and everybody else is at 27, and that guy doesn't improve, but everybody else does. That's not what this competition is. It is always based on percentage of improvement. Hold on here. It looks like we have a question in the chat. So Deb, great question. So unfortunately, right now, we don't have a team form where we can put all of our scores in at the same time for the baseline scores. However, there will be one for the final scores that are due by the November 6th. We will have a team form ready. It's in the final processes. I was hoping to get it done, but it's just not quite ready yet. So you will have to input all scores manually, either in the Google form, or you can send in the score sheet that's on our SOA virtual website. I'll pause here. Is there any questions on the scoring based on percentage improvement and what that looks like compared to what a normal competition would look like? Teresa, if you want to go ahead and type it in the chat, that would be great. And I can see it. Perfect. So I just got a message from Barry that said we can't see the questions asked unless they select all panelists and attendees. So when you're typing out questions, just make sure you select that at the bottom. But Deb's question is there a way that coaches can enter baseline scores for all of our athletes at one time? Like I said, we are creating that. I was hoping to have it done by the baseline scores. We just didn't quite get it there, but it will be for future seasons. That way you can knock out 10, 15, and we can get a lot of participation in that part. Plus, it'll be easier for us to track as well. So, perfect. Teresa, I know you raised your hand. Do you want to type out your question and I can read it to the group? And no, I can't see you guys, but a couple people are raising their hands. So we'll give them a minute to type in the chat the questions they have. Perfect. One just came in. Perfect. We got it. Teresa was just trying to figure it out. We're good there. Answer that one. Perfect. Sandy, if you want to just keep typing, I'm just going to keep moving here, and then we'll answer your question as soon as it comes in. So this is the Fitness Heptathlon scorecard. This is our version of all the exercises you can choose. So these are the 16 exercises that are available for your athletes to choose. Like I said earlier, they will need to choose one of each category to be involved in the Fitness Heptathlon. If they choose one and say they can't do a upper body strength workout, that's fine. You can still select one and just mark 0 down. And then if they can't improve, that's totally all right. And they'll just add up their scores. It just won't be as high as some other ones. Okay. So the 7 components that we are looking at for the fitness, and we tried to do the wide range of everything. You know, we tried to say, what in every sport do you need? And we came up with these 7 categories. The first one is agility. Second one is balance, core body strength, lower body strength, lower body endurance, cardiovascular endurance, and upper body strength. Like I said, there's 2 to 3 in each of these that you can choose on, and the coach's guide will lay out how you set them up and then how to run it so you can input those scores. A lot of these have opportunities for our higher level athletes and lower level athletes. So if we take agility, for example, everybody can do the 10-yard run, walk, or roll. That is what we would consider the, you know, the easier level for the exercise. And then the box agility test, which is a little more complicated and it's probably better for our higher level athletes, but that can also be completed. But like I said earlier, they are competing on how much improvement they had, not what exercises they're choosing or how fast they're doing them initially. Some of these are can be done if they have mobility issues. That's no problem. There are some exercises for our wheelchair athletes or anybody with a mobility issue. So you're looking at balance, you can do the seated lateral bends. For cardiovascular endurance, you can do the seated jumping jacks like our virtual summer games. For upper body strength, you can do the Roman holds and sit down while you're doing them. So there are some options for our wheelchair athletes because we want to make sure, like I said earlier, that it is possible for all ability levels. The other thing I want to mention is in future seasons on our coach's guide, we will have videos for each of these. It's just one of those things that Sona hasn't prepared quite yet for us. They're in the kind of the final stages of planning it, but we wanted to get this out and do this in the fall. So this was our opportunity. And so we don't have videos. If you do have questions on them, I have most of the videos for it. So if you do have questions, feel free to reach out. Also, YouTube is a great resource to show you how to do any of these exercises. Okay, we got a couple of people that have asked this question in the chat. The question is, you said this will become a sport in the future. Do you know which season? And will athletes be able to do this in addition to a regular sport like soccer? That is the goal. So we want our athletes, no matter what sport they choose, to also be able to do this. We have to figure out what that looks like and if it's still done virtually while soccer's done in person. There's a lot of moving parts to it, but my hope is that this becomes a season after season thing. So even if you don't have say you don't have a spring sport, you're just a basketball and a softball player, which I know some athletes are, we want this to also be in the spring, or we want our soccer guys to get in shape. And this is a great way to help doing that. There's a question about why there isn't a modified version under the lower body endurance that does not involve jumping, which is not possible for many athletes. So that's a great question. And we just didn't have the workouts for lower body endurance for those athletes that don't have the jumping. If you have suggestions, like I said, we are the first state doing this. Please email me them, write them in the chat, whatever you want. But that's the way we improve this, not only for our state, but nationwide as well. Because I know we were looking and we are struggling to get some lower body endurance as well that we can easily do from home. I think the one question we had is we want to do as minimal equipment as we can and something that we can time in a short amount of time. So that's a great question, Peggy. And once again, we can connect offline, but if you have any suggestions, I'd love to hear them. One last question here is, on the step test, we only have 8-inch steps in our house. If it's 8 inches, 12 inches, it's totally fine. feel free to do what you have at home. You know, we're not going to be super particular and say, hey, this athlete did 12 inches, this athlete did 8 inches. We want to just use the equipment that's available. And then in future seasons, maybe if it is in person, then we will do it all in the same venue, all in the same equipment. But for right now, we are more concerned about getting people up and active than anything else. Okay, a couple more in the chat. Yeah, so Peggy suggested doing something walking or rolling, slalom in that area, or a hopscotch type. Those are great suggestions. Probably not this season, but definitely in future seasons, we can do that. And we can work on modifications that we can do for lower body endurance, because I know the jumps are hard. Maybe it's a skip back and forth, or just walking back and forth, but we'll have to look at that a little longer. But for this season, we'll have to do those two. If they can't jump, which I get, we'll try and improve on in the future. Okay, so that is the event overview. This is one way you can turn in your baseline scores, filling this out. I think the Google form's easier, but this will work as well. And if you want to just send it to either your area manager or your SRMs, sports region managers, then feel free to do that too. Okay, so like I said, preliminary scores are due this week, October 12th through October 16th. It is getting late for that October 16th date. Like I said, this is my fault. I take blame for it. We should have had this out earlier. We should have done this webinar earlier. We just kind of lost track of time a little bit. However, we need those scores in by October 16th. If you can get them in Friday, you know, we'll probably let them go Monday or Tuesday as well, because we understand that this was my fault. But we need those scores in to participate in this event. You know, right now we have had 230 or so people sign up for the Fitness Heptathlon and only have a handful of scores in. So we really need to get those going. I will be sending out an email tomorrow to everybody that has signed up, just letting them know, hey, we need to get these scores in. We'll send them a recording of this video. We'll send them the coach's guide, just so that they have all the information. I know it's late in the game, but we want to get this out, and I don't want to have a thing where, you know, if you don't get the baseline scores in, then you don't participate. That's worst case scenario for me. Yeah, so Barry just mentioned that the Friday deadline's totally too soon. I get that. We will let it go Monday or Tuesday. I just have to confirm the date with Steven. We will extend it out for sure, but if we can get it in as soon as possible, that helps us a ton. And once again, I'm really sorry for getting it out so late. So once again, you can submit these scores via the event overview. That sheet you just saw, you can find that on our SOA Virtual Games webpage, or you can do the Google form. The Google form should be in the chat at the very top. I can put it in again for you, but that will be probably a lot easier and probably more typical for how we're doing things on virtual games. So if you want to put it there, that's great. But let's try and get those in. And then once again, we will have a team form available towards the end of this season. Now, it should make it easier, especially if you're coaching a lot of people. You know, like Barry, I know you're like that, but there's quite a few coaches handling quite a few athletes. So we'll get it in as soon as possible to you guys. Okay, got couple more in the chat. Perfect. Okay. All right, so final scores. So this is the last part of this event. Will end on fall games score submitting. So it will be November 2nd through November 6th. All participants will do the same exact exercises they did in the baseline scores. This is a key component of this working, is having all of our athletes do the same workouts. Example, for agility, the box agility drill will take a little longer. So if you do the 10-yard walk and roll the first time and then do the box agility drill, you will not improve. It's practically impossible. But in the other way around, where you can really improve, is if you do it the opposite way. and start with the box agility drill and then go to the 10-yard walk and roll. So we will need to be very, very intentional in making sure our athletes and unified pairs are always doing the same 7 exercises. They can train in both. I think it's great to kind of cross train. If you're doing push-ups, that should help your Roman holds and vice versa. However, for the scoring of this event, we will need to do the exact same 7 exercises. Once again, athletes, after we get all the scores in, after athletes will be division based on percentage of improvement, like the table on slide 3, rather than the number of reps or time completed. Scores, just like every other sport in the virtual fall games, will be revealed at our celebration week for our virtual fall games. It's just going to be treated just like the fitness challenge was in the virtual summer games. We'll have it, a specific day where they get their awards and see their placements. But this is a great chance to make fitness a habit and not just something we do once a week at basketball practice or soccer or any of the sports. So we really, really hope that this works. Once again, this isn't the final form of the Fitness Heptathlon. We are the guinea pigs a little bit with this. So we're going to find some things that maybe don't work and find some things that do work or things we can improve upon. Please, as you're coaching, as you're working with your athletes, please take notes of that type of stuff. Send it to me. The more stuff I can see on pros and cons of each of these help me out tremendously, and I can bring it to other states, the committee, and specifically our state to try and improve upon in the winter season. My hope for the winter season, it is a traditional 8-week. I don't know what the winter season is going to look like right now, but I'm hoping this is a huge part of it. But we have to see. So once again, if you have feedback, do not hesitate to reach out. I know some things have came over the chat. So Sherry, that's a great question. If they can do a 60-second plank, unfortunately, they can't improve upon it. We tried to set the numbers at a very, very high rate. There's just no chance of improvement, so unfortunately they would get a 0 in that case. I think it's going to be few and far between. If it does become a problem, that's just something you can let me know and we can figure out a way around it, because we had the same question. We just didn't know what's too high, and then it gets into changing the points around. So it's a great question, something I wish I had a better answer to. But if you notice a lot of your athletes doing a correct 60-second plank, which is pretty difficult, then you can just let me know and we can figure out a different way around this. Okay, so that is it. That is the 30-minute car wash on the Fitness Heptathlon. Do you have any other questions? This is a great time to chat about this. I want this to be as seamless as possible. I know it's not starting that way with the baseline scores, and I apologize again, but would love to answer any questions that you guys have that I can help you out with. The other thing I'll do is I'll put my email. I think most of you have it. I'll put my email in the chat. Feel free to email me at any point, and I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can. But we will be able to get more resources for this as we progress. And I'm willing to help in any way we can. The key right now is getting those baseline scores in, and then we can get more things set up to make your guys' life easier for the final scores. Okay, it looks like we just got a question here. So Barry asked, when are the videos coming, or can you say again what you're going to do about the videos? So we don't have them in the coach's guide because we didn't have them all ready. If you want one of them, if you need the links to those videos, just send me an email and I can send them separately to you. I have most of them. but they are finishing filming those actually this week in Virginia. So we don't have them all, but I should be able either to have the ones from Special Olympics or send you ones from other fitness websites that can help you guys out. Perfect. Well, if you guys have any other questions, remember, feel free to reach out. I put my email in the chat, but I'm really hoping this is something not only that is fun for the fall games, but we can really expand on in the future seasons. I'm a big believer in this helping our healthy habits. I think this is a great way to not only, work out and, get your exercise in, but also prepare for your sports. I see someone like Sandy Hall on here who, as a swimming coach, this could be a great way to build up some endurance and some upper body strength. And, I'm hoping this becomes a facet in not only Special Olympics Washington, but Special Olympics North America. So once again, I'm looking for all the feedback you guys can give me. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. And with that, I'll leave you. And you guys have a wonderful night. Again, I'll be sending out an email tomorrow with coaches' guides, the Google form, and the recording of this webinar. So if you guys don't have any other further questions, thank you so much and have a wonderful night. Thank you, everybody.